be serving you a couple of future scenarios from around the globe. And to guide you is Joachim Skog from the Swedish innovation agency Vinnova. I leave the stage to you.
Thank you, Beata. Hi, guys. Some of you might have tuned in yesterday. We had a great session called Foresight Wednesday. This is our monthly event where we train our ability to think about plausible futures. For Sweden Innovation Days, we have a really special edition coming up for you, where we do this foresighting together with expats around the globe to hear their thoughts about what's happening out in the world. For those of you that missed the session yesterday, Foresight Wednesday, it's available on YouTube, so check it out if you missed it. We have 4 sessions today where each guest gets 5 minutes each to tell us the signs of change they've seen around them from their perspective that tells them something about the future. First off, our first futurist, if I may say, is Lars Hammarström, Science and Innovation Counsellor at the Swedish Embassy in Seoul, in South Korea. Welcome.
Thank you.
Nice to see you. Happy local time. You're pushing bedtime, right?
Way past my normal bedtime, but very happy to be here, Joachim. Good to see you.
Yeah, you too. Nice to see you. So, as I said, each guest, you get 5 minutes each, and then we'll have a little chat of what we've heard, your perspective on the future. So please, 5 minutes, the stage is yours.
Okay, thank you very much, Joachim. So I work as a science and innovation counselor here at the embassy in Seoul, in South Korea. And Korea, I think, is known to most of you in the audience as, you know, one of the most research-intensive countries in the world. It has historically very large investments in R&D, second only to Israel. It has among the highest level of tertiary education of any country in the world, and also an incredible range of companies across a wide range of sectors. I think we all recognize, you know, brands like Samsung and LG and POSCO and Kia and Hyundai, etc. But this journey and this transition that Korea has done from the end of the Korean War in 1953 up to today, this is nothing short of extraordinary. They've gone from a country in ruins with a GDP under $100 per capita over the past 70 years to becoming the 10th largest economy in the world. And this despite having no essentially natural resources. There's no oil, there's no coal, there's no rare minerals, no forests. This is a country really built on the sweat and hard work of the Korean population. But this remarkable journey, being immersed in this environment for a while now, you notice has not been without cost. Growth, economic growth, is really the mantra of public policy here. It's been, of course, very central to the country's prosperity historically, and because of this, social reform has been very difficult to drive through politically. So there are considerable sustainability issues in Korea still. There's climate policy, climate actions that need to be put in place. There are issues with gender equality, not a very widespread corruption, but it does still have signs of corruption in a relatively young economy, young democracy like Korea is. There's extensive poverty among the elderly population, and not least the birth rate, which you may have heard about. Korea has the lowest birth rate in the world. It's the most rapidly declining population in the world, and this has, of course, huge ramifications for not just the workforce, but tax revenue, welfare, sourcing military long-term, et cetera, et cetera. Now in Sweden, we have as you at Vinnova are well aware of this concept of competitiveness through sustainability, and there's an industrial perspective to that, of course, with the minimizing the climate effects of the technologies, et cetera, that we export. But we shouldn't also underestimate the innovation in societal perspective, to foster really an environment which is conducive to innovation and to excellence. And this means quality of life, equality, equity, possibilities to collaborate, levels of transparency and opportunity in society. Now, as Korea, is growing as a country, and is aiming kind of to be in this G7 kind of environment where there are some complex geopolitical issues to deal with, it needs to acutely deal with a lot of these issues that it has. It needs to pivot fundamentally from being a catch-up economy to being a world-leading economy. It needs to go from developing what may have historically been products and services and innovations that are maybe best in the world in terms of quality, but new to the world in terms of real transformative innovation. And of course, it cannot do that. I heard a quite prominent politician here recently say, how are we going to be the best in the world and the most innovative country in the world if we're only utilizing half of the brains in this country? So gender equality and inclusion of women into society and into industry and into innovation is a big part of this transformation. Now, interestingly, recently the government actually cut the R&D budget for 2024 by about 15%, which is the first time the R&D budget in Korea has been cut for the past 30 plus years or something. And there's a lot of speculation as to why this is. Certainly, the increased demands on military capability in this complex and unstable geopolitical society that we have today is a part of it. But I also like to think that it is opening up for a lot of social reform that needs to be happening here. Interestingly, in connection to this cut, there was also an increase of the internationalization budget in R&D by up to tenfold, albeit from a very small level. So there's a lot of rhetoric around this, but it remains to see how it will actually affect Korea's positioning internationally. There's also signs of being much more engaged in terms of mission-based approaches and focuses on global challenges. And this, I think, is a huge opportunity for countries like Sweden, which is very capable in these societal transformations, to really utilize this opportunity of Korea's pivoting, not just in terms of its technological capacity, but also in the role that Sweden can do in helping Korea, create a more sustainable, long-term, steady state for its future. So, just like Sweden, Korea is a very export-dependent country, and innovation, here needs to be more than just technological advancement. I think Sweden has a unique opportunity here to help Korea to transform its society into something more than just the bilateral relation that we have today, based on a lot of technological innovation and collaboration in research. So that's kind of my thought on the future, that we are actually in this pivoting, of Korea today.
And you paint a complex picture, but still collaborating and using Swedish strengths like equality and social innovation. You see that South Korea can actually accelerate their way forward, becoming one of the most successful nations globally.
Yes,
I recently
absolutely.
visited Singapore. I sense a similarity when it comes to balancing the relations with US and China. Can you shortly just describe South Korea's, when it comes to innovation politics, how do South Korea balance that out? Just 20 seconds.
It's complex. I mean, Korea has this, there's this saying, we rely on China for our prosperity and the US for our security. So it's really trapped in historical, relations with both of these countries, and is relatively small compared to them, so cannot maybe affect these big, gravitational fields of the current system. But just like Sweden is a middle power, can navigate around them and find like-minded partners with which to collaborate, and still have this balance between those two.
So many similarities, many opportunities for collaboration. If we just make past that threshold of or the friction in time zones, I think we should really collaborate more together with South Korea. Thank you very much, Lars. Happy to have you here on Sweden Innovation Day.
Thank you.